Just ask that everyone put their mute on.
Good evening, everybody. We're just a few folks are still finding their seats. We're gonna have an awesome presentation tonight. All these teams that joined together as otherwise strangers on Friday night have been working for the better part of 54 hours, joining some like-minded people from kind of the cross section of our innovation economy here, and building solutions to some of the more pressing civic issues, leveraging technology. So I think everybody is on a separate team. I think you're going to be impressed with the other team's pitches. And then our guests, our judges, our mentors, our amazing mentors this weekend, and everybody in the audience, I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised.
Great. And I want to thank first our sponsors. We have two presenting sponsors. That's BNY Mellon and CGI, and IQ Inc. is a supporting sponsor. In addition to that, I want to thank the judges who will be watching the presentations and rating you. We have Alana Diamond, the managing partner from 412 Venture Fund, Giselle Barreto Fetterman, Second Lady of Pennsylvania and the founder of For Good PGH, Eliada Griffin L., the Associate Professor and Director for the Massey Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at Robert Morris, Aradhana Oliphant, President and CEO, Leadership Pittsburgh, and Bobby Watt Gear, the President and CEO of the United Way of Southwestern Pennsylvania. Great group of judges. Thank you for your time on a Sunday evening. Very generous.
Yeah, thanks very much. So these are going to be 6-minute pitches. We have 10 teams that have been building projects all weekend. They'll be judged on 4 criterion: overall impact, hustle, how much did they get done? There's the design aspect of it, and then overall teamwork, how much did they come together as a unit to build these presentations. So I am in the way of an amazing group of pitchers, founders. So without that, let's turn it over to our teams.
Yeah, let's get to it. Okay, I'm going to be timing you on my phone, and I apologize in advance if you go long. I am going to cut you off.
We're going to stop you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the team Learn Where You Live, and they will be presented by Morgan.
Awesome. I'm sharing my screen now. All right, hello everybody. I am Morgan McCoy, and I worked with David Treachel on this idea, Learn Where You Live, which is a neighborhood Skillshare movement. Sorry about that. So the problem is that our human networks are vital in helping us gain access to new opportunities, but they are also very homogenous. We tend to talk to the same people who look like us, and then have access to their networks that often look the same. So some people are more mobile than others. So even when you have basic access like a roof over your head and food, you still might not have the opportunities to work and learn that others do. So how do we provide neighbors more meaningful ways to connect and kind of address this issue? That's where Learn Where You Live comes in. So it's a social movement fueled by social media where neighbors can offer their expertise and take gifts of knowledge from people in their neighborhoods. So this idea was born from my experience using my local Buy Nothing group. And David and I didn't know each other before, but we happened to live in the same neighborhood. So we're both in like Wilkinsburg, Regent Square. I invited him to the group and he checked it out and was like, wow, this is super cool. I offer something that I have that's extra that a neighbor might need. And then I also can say, hey, I'm looking for a silicone mold. I just need to borrow it. I don't want to go out and buy it. And somebody can tell me that they have it, great. And we kind of swap it. It's a very hyper-local gift economy. So why can't the same idea work with knowledge transfer? And by making it really local, we can just increase how peer-to-peer learning is happening, and make it very free-form and help the communities move it forward together so that they can all rise up. So how it works is that we took a landing page concept to provide people like a place to learn about Learn Where You Live, and then also gave them the resources to start their own groups. And these groups are just Facebook groups. So they're very easy to start. They're free to start. People are already on Facebook. So it's infinitely scalable. And the impact is that we're creating more diverse networks where neighbors can help each other, give a leg up if somebody is looking for a job recommendation or wants to learn how to do 3D modeling or graphic design. They can get that from their neighbors, and then they can also offer their own expertise as well. So the website, very simple. There's an intro. So this is what the web page looks like now that we put together. And you hop on, you can go learn more about the concept. And then you have access to this, which is just a group description you can use. Anybody can set up a Learn Where You Live in their neighborhood or find an existing one in a second. So we actually started a Facebook group for our local community already. And we have, at the time, we had 19 members. We now have about 40, and we've already fulfilled a request. So I shared that I have an interest in graphic design, and I use Canva whenever I don't have access to Adobe products. And I'd be happy to share with my neighbors how they can use more than just Canva templates to more effectively visually communicate, because that's my background. So that's basically all you do. But the groups, they use the same naming convention. So you can search Learn Where You Live, Allison Park, and see if a group exists. If it doesn't, you can make your own. And then we have a brief survey just to ensure people live in that location. We have them share their 3 superpowers. And then we ask them if they can start by sharing a skill that they can offer, and then also sharing a skill that they'd like to receive. So you can see this was my first offer of the Canva template thing. I've already connected with somebody and I'm going to help them figure out how to more effectively use it. And then David shared that he is looking into getting into 360 video, and he would love to connect with somebody who might be able to share resources to help him get started. So why Facebook? You know, people, it's very difficult to create adoption, and especially with an idea like this where there's an importance to have like a face to a name and things like that. People are already on Facebook. We saw this as a natural MVP because it already worked with this very similar other concept. And then why so local? Why didn't we expand into the whole Pittsburgh area? First, it makes it really much more manageable. In our Buy Nothing group, it's very active, like 20, 30 posts a day, and there's 10 people commenting on each post. To broaden it anymore might just be difficult. And we also thought that it was very important to have that peer-to-peer local potential physical touch post-COVID, of course, but where somebody who wants to learn how to crochet, who doesn't necessarily want to buy the items for it, could just borrow them from a neighbor, or could physically meet up with their neighbor and see how it works in person. That's the difference, kind of our value add. It's the difference between just looking something up on YouTube and actually having that physical peer-to-peer touch that makes it more potential for you to actually learn the skill. And then future opportunities, you know, we really recognize that some zip codes may be less diverse than others. Some zip codes might have less resources than others. So this concept really wouldn't work as well in some, depending where you are geographically. So we could really use the Learn Where You Live main page and platform to expand into other programming and training based programs to help provide people with better workforce development, more opportunities to learn, and so on. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Morgan. Great job on the timing. 5:48, right in there.
Ooh, nice.
Now I'm going to send it over to Kit. Kit, do you want to open it up to the judges for some questions?
Nice job. Would any of our judges have a question for this team? Bobby?
Who would moderate? You know, Facebook pages need some good moderation, and so how would you envision that happening?
Right. So in this instance, well, in the Buy Nothing groups, it's the person usually who starts it, and then they might pass that on to somebody else in the group who's very interested. So in this instance, both David and I live in the area, and so we've been moderating it. We just check out the surveys that people submit, decide who gets admitted into it, and then we're kind of encouraging. We can do some moderator things like highlighting new skills that have entered the group, etc. But it would definitely be up to the specific community to do that.
Thank you.
Nice.
I did have one more question, and then I'll be quiet. I'm curious to know, I wasn't quite clear about what your overall goal in this Learn Where You Live platform. I heard you talk a little bit about, I think, community building and promoting diverse interactions in communities. And then there's the piece about learning skills. And so it just didn't come as clear to me as what your overarching goal is.
Yeah, the main goal is that our human networks are very, very important to upward mobility. And so in our those human networks are not necessarily always most impacted by our geographic location, but much more by our race, class, age, etc. And by opening it up to a number of zip codes where we could all, and we're a little bit biased because we are in a very diverse neighborhood, where the people I'm interacting with on by nothing group are all from all sorts of places. And so in our instance, me interacting with my neighbors is more diverse interaction than I'm having elsewhere. And I might be able to provide them more networking and job growth opportunities than they have in their own network. I hope that clarified a little more.
Eliada had a question.
Yeah, thank you, Kit. This is, really inspiring. I love the heart behind it. You mentioned the desire to want to encourage people to diversify their networks, which is applaudable. Although we know that in our region, many times those networks can be insular based upon place. So is there a way by which your platform would encourage individuals from different neighborhoods to connect, to create some sort of intersectionality between places?
Yeah, I think that that's a really interesting idea. We talked about, and again, like I'm biased because I'm in a place where we have Edgewood, Swissvale, Braddock, Regent Square all in one place. But of course, there are many, many places where the surrounding zip codes are all the same still. And there's potential for there to basically be kind of like zip code swap type groups where, we might take Braddock, Brookline, and try to think of another B neighborhood, but somewhere that's all within the same region, but where we know that the zip codes are kind of different. So that's definitely a way that we could kind of expand to, so that we're recognizing that so many zip codes don't have kind of the same diversity that we do.
Nice job. Any other questions from our judges? Okay.
Okay, great job, Morgan.
Thanks so much.
Next, we are going to street count, and that will be presented by Leah.
Hi, everyone. Let me just share my screen. All right, my name is Leah Nikolachenkin, and I am presenting on behalf of the Street Count group. So our vision is for cities that are built for people, not for cars. Prioritizing walking and biking in our cities contributes to sustainability, community ties, equity, and public health. We'd all like to see cities that have better infrastructure that will be safer and more supportive of different modes of transportation. When you're in the space of advocating or trying to build infrastructure for bikes and pedestrians, an important part of that process is having traffic studies that are able to count those bikes and pedestrians. The advocates need to be able to do that in order to make their case better. And also the cities themselves need to be able to do that in order to plan out what types of improvements they want to make or where they want to make the improvements. Currently, the way we count bikes and pedestrians is lacking. This is an example of a bike count that I personally participated in. You have a person out on a street corner with a clipboard manually checking down how many bikes and pedestrians go by. And so you can imagine that you need a lot of human hours to get some very basic counts on a pretty limited number of streets. There are also some more technological methods, such as these bike strips, but these can be expensive and require a lot of maintenance. A bike strip like this could cost in the range of $5,000. So it's not necessarily something that especially a small community group or a group of advocates who don't have a lot of support can just throw together. So our approach is to make an automatic way of counting bikes and pedestrians on a street using video and machine learning. The basic idea is that you start by putting cameras at key spots along streets where you're interested in knowing about the bike and pedestrian counts. You can do vision recognition and machine learning on the device, get the counts out of that video, upload just the counts to the cloud for privacy purposes, put those counts into a database, and then, and this is something that we don't even have now with the existing methods, you can aggregate those numbers into a nice database or a visual UI for the advocates or for the city to present to different people and to make their case or to better understand how the streets are being used. So in the course of this hackathon over the last day, we've implemented certain key parts of this process. We have a demo version of our machine learning video recognition component. And we also have an example of the data visualization. So starting, this is a video that I took the other day that we were able to feed in to computer vision and get recognition of a person going by and a person on a bike. Also for fun, we found a much busier video. This is Amsterdam. So you can see that it scales up and has potential when there's a lot more going on the street. I'm also going to show our data visualization. So this is a map that is currently populated with the data that was collected by Bike Pittsburgh this last year on Ellsworth Avenue. So we can see this is where there were almost 4,000 data points collected. You can zoom in and see they were on 3 separate intersections. And then when you click on these different buttons, you can it expands into the number of bikes and pedestrians counted on any specific day. So as you can see, this is relatively limited, but it's kind of a vision for the future. We also populated the map with fake data. So this can also help to illustrate our vision. Ideally, right, we have counts on every street, every intersection, and then we would be able to get a better sense of what is going on in the city as a whole in terms of where, which streets are most used by bikes and pedestrians. And we can also display the distribution over the course of the week, which can also be important for the city to know as they make plans. So our vision for the tool is for it to be an open source tool that any group could take the code and get set up easily with cameras. They would just have to put up cameras. And then they would be able to incorporate the data that they collected there into the cloud. And as I mentioned, the machine learning would happen on device to protect privacy. And I think I'm running out of time, but very quickly, we talked to some potential partners. We talked to a couple of people at Bike Pittsburgh and Ellie Newman from the Port Authority, and they all expressed an interest in this functionality. They all deal with different issues around counting people taking transit or counting bikes, dealing with, dealing with fumbly paper systems. And Bruce mentioned that the current systems.
Thanks, Leah. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to jump in.
All right, well, that's my last slide, so
Okay.
I'll leave it there.
Great job, that was a great presentation. I'm gonna send it to Kit to open up questions from the judges.
Let's ask our judges if they have any questions.
Kit?
Yes, absolutely. Radha?
Thank you. Wow, that was amazing. And my goodness, what hustle with them since Friday. Great job, Leah. Question. Other places in the world are way more advanced than our country, and especially our region is, in terms of bikes and being pedestrian friendly and all of that. Did you study or find any similar mechanisms anywhere in the world as you were starting to create this one for our region?
Yeah, we took a look around, and what we saw was that there were some tools that, so there are tools like the strips that can do counting, or there are some other kind of experimental but more expensive techniques. There's also companies doing machine learning and video recognition for counting purposes, but they didn't seem that there were techniques that were accessible to the public. Things that somebody could come along and easily spin up for their own use. So we see this really as sort of crowdsourcing the collection of pedestrian and bike counts, as opposed to needing to rely on a big company that you license their software to do it.
Leah, I had a question for you. This is Alana. Great presentation, by the way, and I like the visualization. I'm curious, you know, you're suggesting putting up new kinds of video cameras, and there are a lot of traffic cams and a lot of video monitoring, especially in cities. And I'm wondering, is there a way to use that, or perhaps you considered that and decided not to?
Yeah, that is actually something we talked about, and we see that as something that could be incorporated into the system. In particular, when we were talking to Ellie Newman from the Port Authority, she mentioned that they already have these security cameras. So it seems like that's somewhere where they could say, oh, well, we already have the cameras, so we'll just incorporate this into your existing system. So it's not so much a matter of you have to put up a new camera as taking advantage of existing cameras. We were also talking about, you know, a lot of people have now security cameras on their personal home, Ring cameras or whatever. So if that were pointed at the street, anyone could just say, like, I have this camera up anyway, let's incorporate that data.
I have a question.
Thank
you.
It's an audience question that came in. They asked how this works in the evening, and that if there are training data for this with a learning system where you can bring people in.
Yes, the machine learning system that we used was a pre-trained model. We weren't training our own models. And we didn't try it out for evening video, but all of these systems have ways to fine tune your models for specific use cases. So I could imagine we would have to try it out and see how it does already. And there are things like trail cams that are designed to be pretty good with in the dark with night vision. And I could imagine something like saying like, oh, when the sun goes down, we have this like separate model that we've fine tuned on data in low light situations. So using almost a separate model that was fine tuned for those circumstances.
Thank you. Any other questions from our judges? Awesome. Nice job. Yeah,
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, next up, we are going to hear from Ad Rider, presented by Logan.
Hey, everybody. All right, so hi, everyone. I'm Logan Hammerschmidt. Now, when you think of buses in Pittsburgh, maybe this is what first comes to mind. But for the next 6 minutes, I want you to keep this number in mind, $2.75, the current bus fare in Pittsburgh, one of the highest in the nation and 37% higher than the national average. It takes someone working a minimum wage job 46 minutes each day just to earn enough to pay for their bus fare. And that's before taxes. This is not promoting flourishing in the city of Pittsburgh. And with 5.2 million monthly riders traveling with the Port Authority, that's a big problem. This got us thinking, what could be done to lower bus fares for these 5.2 million riders, many of whom are traveling to minimum wage jobs? And that's where we did some research and discovered that 92% of Pittsburgh residents are exposed to bus media each day. This gave us the idea for Ad Rider, a network of digital advertising displays on Port Authority buses. Our solution is pretty simple. Put digital ads on the side of Port Authority buses. These targeted ads will allow small businesses to reach both riders and people out and about in their community. It becomes a massive fleet of billboards, basically. Maybe you're thinking, hasn't this been done before? And the short answer is, not like this. You see, we've developed a simple self-service ad platform that makes advertising for awareness in the physical world more accessible for small businesses. Simply come to our site, upload your ad, make a few choices, and pending an administrative review of your submission, you'll start to see your ad on buses the next day. We'll even help you resize or design your ad for free if you don't already have one. Given our forecasted cost of $7.20 for 12 minutes of advertising per day, we are far more cost-friendly than the competition for local advertisers, both upfront and long-term. Given these numbers, we estimate that by providing an easy way for small businesses to advertise on these buses, we can generate $110 million in ad revenue each year. Considering our expenses, we believe that 70 to 80% of this could go to the Port Authority, which could drop bus fares below $1. This has the potential to increase ridership as a whole, an added bonus. Our community liaison, Maria, talked to a lot of actual business owners about our solution. She asked them a few questions about how they currently advertise, ultimately presenting our solution to them. When asked if and why they would choose to advertise with us, this is just some of the feedback that she received. And I would be remiss if I didn't stop and take a moment to acknowledge the amazing team around me that made this whole weekend possible. We faced challenges. One of our team members actually completely lost internet for the entire weekend. We faced pivots, but ultimately we stuck together, we put our heads down and accomplished a ton. One of my longtime mentors, Patrick Perini, had this to say about our idea. Online advertising is key to small businesses, yet 62% say they can't reach their audience. By targeting a local customer base, public transit is far more cost effective. And by reinvesting surplus revenue in fare reduction, transit authorities can increase audience size while giving back to the local community. It's a clear win-win. A more equitable Pittsburgh starts with public transit that is accessible for every resident. Let's all ride together and promote the flourishing of a city that so desperately deserves it. Thank you. And I'll open it up to questions at this time.
Great job. Thank you, Logan.
Thank you.
Kit, you want to take it to the judges?
Really, I'm asking, sure, Bobby, you have a question?
Sure. First of all, that was a great presentation. Thank you. You may have said this, but I missed it. If you did, can you target this by bus line and by neighborhood?
Yeah, I'm going to let one of my teammates answer that question if that's all right.
Sure.
Yeah, actually, all buses have GPSs on them as part of the the location system. And so one thing we discussed was potentially geo-targeting, having the ability to geo-target ads by zip code and area. And so if it's a restaurant I live in Highland Park. In Highland Park, they may not want to advertise far out because that's not cost effective for them. And so it's just kind of a balance of working with the retailers and trying to get some agreement on cost and location.
Nice.
Thank you.
I had a question. By the way, I really like the idea. I think it's really a great idea. Tell me about why only on the outside of the bus, and why wouldn't you do this on the inside of the bus too?
So we could potentially do this on the inside of the bus, but one of the concerns there, so I don't know if you ride Pittsburgh city buses, but one thing that they've done over the past couple of years is they've changed some of the lights on the inside to be blue because they're trying to reduce glare for drivers, since that's one of the most distracting things. So for the time being, we were thinking just the outside because we don't know how the inside ads would affect drivers. And that would be something that needs to be tested out with trial and error.
Thank you.
Great. I'm going to jump in with a question real quick. Yes, I echo Ilana's excitement. This is pretty cool. Love your digital backgrounds. Very nice touch. with regards to, has anyone spoken to the Port Authority, or did maybe I missed this in your presentation, but was there any maybe just high level conversation with anyone there to gain a sense of the feasibility, or if not, what maybe some of the first questions that you asked?
Well, funny you asked that, Eliana. We do have Catherine Kellerman here from the Port Authority with a question.
Well, that is lovely. Sure.
Catherine?
Hello. Hey, guys. This is Catherine Kellerman, the CEO at Port Authority. So I love this. You guys have my picture, my little screenshot? Yep. Yeah, I was shoveling the driveway today, so I don't look very pretty. I think this is fantastic, and I would love to work with you to come in and do a meeting to talk about how we could move forward on something like this. I think we are starting to get these digital screens inside the buses. So our most recent 60 buses coming in have them inside. And that would be a great thing to kick off, or we can talk about some of the logistics. You absolutely can geo-target these ads, and a lot of places do them over the annunciator. So you come around the corner and they advertise a free coffee. But this seems so much more valuable. So Audrey is going to hook us up, and we're gonna see what we can do to make this happen. So thank you so much for the opportunity to let me see this. I love it. I love money. I hate to say it that way, but if we can, anything we can do to help replace fare revenue means that we can get more folks on the buses, or it's also money that we can use to invest in our future, because this city deserves a bigger transit footprint. So we are all ears, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next couple of weeks. Awesome. Well, guys and ladies, I should say.
That's right.
Friends all around.
Well, thank you so much for that feedback, Catherine.
No, this looks really great. And the other part is, if it works out for me, then there's a whole bunch of transit agencies around the country that could potentially be interested in this. So, this could be great.
Fantastic. Thank you. Offer it up to our judges. Any other questions as we go? If not, we will move along. All right, awesome.
Just to set expectations, we don't have a potential client lined up for every presentation. So that was kind of, I don't want everyone to expect that. Right. Okay, are we ready for the next presentation? Okay, we're gonna go with local superheroes, and that is being presented by Rosalind and Jane.
Hi, I'm Jane Altman, and I'm here with Rosalind Pando. We actually know each other from working on a nonprofit named River Artworks. We both have day jobs. I'm in retail and marketing, and Rosalind is in e-commerce. The topic we started with was mentor and workforce development. And actually this, I think, was our first glitch in the weekend program. Is Morgan, who spoke first. There was some confusion as to which group she was with, and we are working on the same type of project. I think the difference in our project is that we faced marketing a little different and the website a little bit differently. And again, it was a project, I want to remind you, it's a project where if you want to learn crochet, a neighbor can reach out through the board, the website board, and say, I know how to teach you crochet. I would be delighted to teach you crochet. You want to learn a language, you put that on the board. Someone on the board can reach out and say, I'm willing to teach you. You have a leak under your sink, and you have a neighbor that would say, hey, I'm willing to run over and help you with that leak under your sink. It's not only for learning talent, but it would also be for sharing good deeds, announcements to job openings that somebody in the neighborhood had heard at work. And we decided to name our project Local Superheroes, with the tagline, sharing talent with your neighbors. Working with 3 mentors, Andy, Jason, and Elizabeth, we received well-rounded viewpoints on sub-project development. Andy kept us on track by suggesting Google Docs. Elizabeth loved that it builds a stronger community. Her concern is, how will we ensure the site is used for what it is intended? Rosalind, and again, I did hear that mentioned on Morgan's program. With Rosalind's website, she chose to put filters in the website to address the concern. Jason was a huge fan of the project. He rattled off a long list of ways this project benefits. This list included helping to solidify neighborhoods, broadening workforce knowledge, a chance to share what you love to do, escape isolation, broadening skills, and a place that people could actually ask for help. A lot of people are very shy in asking for help. And if it's on a board, I know I personally, and Jason iterated this, that I would have more of a tendency to reach out to somebody that says, I'm willing to help, than to just blindly call somebody and say, hey, or knock on a door, would you please help me? I mean, if it's on a board that they're open to that kind of thing, you're more susceptible to reaching out. If this were actually to go to market, we pictured this effort to draw the youth market first. Much like Facebook and Instagram formatted their product introduction, we combined this type of introduction with a nod to the California surf and skate culture. They have a guerrilla marketing flair of attracting attention by slapping logo stickers and stop signs on stop signs, telephone poles, local bulletin boards, and using these as word of mouth notoriety spreads from neighborhood to neighborhood. With this in mind, we developed a very bright, superhero comic book type of logo. And we turned it into a .com because that's what's popular on those stickers. And what you're looking at right now is a flyer that we developed that can be downloaded right from the website. And it can be printed so that people can put those on the local bulletin boards, telephone poles, things of that nature. As Facebook is known to attract an older demographic, we also have a, let's see if I can pull it up here. We also did a Facebook page. And again, we kept the bright colors, the same logo, sharing talent with your neighbors focus. And on the website, which Rosalind is about to introduce, there's a login page for people to log in, and we can keep track of their information if we need to reach out to them. That gives us another filter. It gives us zip code to log in through, and I need and I want button, as well as there's another button. I didn't list it. And as I design marketing and Rosalind does IT. So Rosalind, I'm going to turn it over to you right now.
So here, I'm going to share my screen. And yeah, so here is the site we built with all these functionalities that Jane mentioned right now. So we have our flyers. So we can click on the flyers, and the flyers will be displayed here for whoever the visitors are. They can print this first for their neighborhood, for promotions, and for sharing this talent and this great platform with others. The registered users, they can sign in by clicking on to sign in button. We have a form here, as well as we have a register functionality. So the users who have talent and the people who are looking for talent and help, they can register by logging in onto their specific form. Yeah.
Rosalind, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to stop you there.
And as we go,
I'm going to turn it over to Kit and the judges for questions.
Yeah. Judges, who has the first question? Go ahead.
So if someone could clarify how the matches are made, and maybe we missed that because we couldn't get the whole piece of the presentation. But I see that people enter in the information on the website, but how are the matches made?
The matches would be self-made. Is the website does have a left bar that gives some category suggestions, and there is a place for people to add new sections so that they can say, okay, I want to learn Spanish. Let's go into there, put my zip code in, go in, see who in the neighborhood knows Spanish and is willing to help. I want to learn how to change a tire. Let's see in the neighborhood who is willing to teach us some basic mechanics. And it would be self-moderated that way. As far as keeping it on topic, there would be filters in place for keeping people on topic. And there would also be a star system where somebody can say, okay, this person has asked for help. Do they have a rating? Have they worked with somebody in the past? If I don't know them, how do I know it's a safe thing? So that would also be in there as a star system, kind of like Airbnb does. Airbnb has a star system for when you rent from somebody, your lodging person will say, hey, this is what we thought of them. They were respectful or they weren't respectful. And it would be that kind of a star system.
Thank you.
Any other questions from our judges?
Kit, so how might the local superheroes team blend their idea with Learn Where You Live team to make it all better, even better?
Well, I think they very well addressed more of the adult community, the older community. They somewhat touched on the youth. But I think what happens when I notice these type of websites, how they go viral, it's somebody out taking a walk, and usually it's the kids are out roaming the neighborhood, burning off that energy. And they go home and they're clicking on something and they're saying, what's this local superhero.com thing? And they go in it, they look at it and they say, hey, mom, look at this. This person also plays the trumpet. Do you mind if I contact that person and we get together? So it would be that kind of thing where the mother says, well, wait a minute, I want to learn how to cook this. And I think that what they did, we could add our star system to it to help validate and make people feel comfortable working with people they've never met. And I think that the integrations, Rosalind did a lot of work on integrating different suggestions for topics. And she also did a lot of work of add your own topic. She did a lot of work on a star system. She did a lot of work on but they have also done work. We both did work on zip code, but also we have a login system. So that would be nice because we could track things better and expound. Ours would be definitely zip code to zip code, where theirs was broader and more a broader region. We felt the whole goal of this project was to be local, get to know your local neighbors and start building a solid community. They're more regional, and maybe we could look at a balance between the two. I think that would be pretty interesting.
All right, Jane, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to step in. We're out of time on the question portion, but thank you so much, Jane and Rosalind, for that presentation. And we are going to go on to the next presentation, which is Buddy System, presented by Kara.
All right, I will share my screen. Give me one moment, I apologize. have a lot of windows open, so it's hard to find the right one. Can you see my screen here, the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So good evening, everyone. I'm Kara, and I will be presenting with my teammates Stacy and Jean. We're presenting Buddy System. Buddy System is helping those who help us. So Buddy System provides emotional and mental health support anonymously via peers through a platform that optimizes peer matching based on similarities in needs and experiences. Our target group is first responders and frontline healthcare workers. So why now, and why are we targeting this group? So as we all have seen with 2020, we've had a pandemic, there's been civil unrest, the defund the police movement, there's negative mental health effects that are rising, and stress is increasing in already stressful jobs. So the problem we have identified 3 key problems when talking to our target group. Therapy can be really expensive and inaccessible, and even the free crisis hotlines are a hassle. One person that we spoke to called the crisis line and it caused them even more stress, and it took forever for them to get an appointment afterwards. They said it was a terrible experience. Second problem, there's a lack of shared experience between the therapist and the patient. A police officer we spoke to said that the therapist that was brought in after their response to the Tree of Life mass shooting in Pittsburgh, they said the therapist couldn't possibly relate to what I just experienced, and they were despondent over the whole experience. And then thirdly, there's a stigma around mental health support. So police officer we spoke to said that 60% of the people that he works with have egos and put up a shield to act tough. And then from 2019 to 2020, the number of people looking for help with anxiety and depression has skyrocketed. So our solution, we're building trust, allowing peers to be matched up to those with similar backgrounds and experiences. And then we're creating proactive therapy. So Buddy System enables peers to interact anonymously via chat, and it'll optimize peer matching and allow peers to meet for safe one-on-one and group support meetings. Based on survey that we'd sent out, our solution could be up to 9 times more effective than traditional therapy. So in regards to the market size, there are 11 million first responders and frontline healthcare workers in the United States. And out of that 11 million, 2.2 million, based on a study that we had researched, they don't feel comfortable speaking to another person about their problems. 2 million don't want people to perceive them as being weak. 2 million feel like they're being judged by their colleagues in their profession. And then 1.8 million feel like it would affect their career or chance for a promotion. So over the weekend, we worked on an MVP. I will play this video presented by Jean.
Hello, Hackathoners. This is Jean Evangelist. I'm going to walk you through the app we created, which is the output for our First Responders app. It's a chat sharing and venting app where you can log on, enter your password, and then create a profile. What we found is that the first responders have a difficult time sharing even with their families. And we found that remaining anonymous in a chat room like this, in an environment, enables them to be a little bit more truthful and express their feelings. So from here, you would go and create a profile. And from there, they would move on to the chat. And the chat enables them to chat, share, help, and it's all about respect. We found a lot of people just have a very difficult time getting respect on the job or from those in the hierarchy. For example, nurses sometimes don't get the respect that they need from administrators in the hospital or doctors. And this is a place to go to various rooms and express the level of conversation that you want to have. Leaning on me and being a friend is the first choice. There you would go and just have a chat. Second choice is share how you would distress with others. In other words, people talking about perhaps going to the gym, going for a walk, going for a bike ride. And all of these have a different conversation going on. And then when life sucks and you just need to vent, this is definitely the place to do that. So thanks very much for watching. We've created an Android and iOS version of this. We're going to create links for them so that if you wanted to download it and install it to your phone, you could do that. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello, Hackathoners. This is Gene.
So I'll pass it off to Stacy to go over our customer personas.
So we interviewed first responders in 3 roles, and the sentiments and themes expressed here were found among all 3 groups. The fireman's quote told us he knows there's value to himself and others to listen and decompress with peers. You could imagine first going to the chat room on Lean On Me, so he could be a great listener, providing listening and empathy, and eventually might be a great one-on-one peer mentor. Based on the policeman's comment, you can see that he'd probably go to the vent chat room, maybe talk about his colleagues, his boss, or the public. The policeman's theme helped us explore the current help that they do get from organizations with job stress and trauma. The current solution for first responders is in-person group therapy with work colleagues and a counselor. In our interviews with the first responders, they rejected this option because it wasn't anonymous and the counselors couldn't connect to their real experiences. The EMS sentiment on the far right here was reinforced our belief that first responders need a resource to engage and learn newer ways to cope with stress, rather than that option. And they would be great probably in a chat room going to First Time for de-stressing.
So our product roadmap, our step 1 is to deploy the anonymous online chat room. Step 2 is to allow for small group meetings, 3 to 4 per group. And then step 3 would be matching peers for one-on-one engagement based on similar experiences and traumas. Step 1 showed our first MVP. And then go-to-market strategy, we would deploy among the connections that we have. Step 2, we would utilize word of mouth among our connections. And then step 3, we would reach out to online support groups and other support groups, for example, Facebook support groups. And that is the end of our presentation. I have an MVP of our second version of our product I'll put up during our Q&A.
Great, thank you, Kara and Stacy. That was awesome.
Good job, Naj.
And Gene, he was on video.
Yeah, yeah, and Gene.
All right, Kit, do you want to send it to the judges?
Yeah. Who would like to ask a first question?
I'd like to start. I love it. I think it's so necessary. I work closely with state troopers who regularly share there isn't enough support. I think it's amazing. We know suicide rates are incredibly high with first offenders, police officers, firefighters. I just wanted to say that I think it's wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much.
I do have a question. Wondering what thought or structure you would have around identifying emergencies. So if you're structuring a program that allows for peer support, have you given any thought to what if someone is in a real emergent space, and what would happen within the context of this program if someone needed to have professional help?
Sure. So we did talk about that, and it's something that we thought about. We don't want this to be a crisis line, but we do want to enable systematic resources for if somebody is in a crisis. So, for example, if there's the one-on-one peer meetings, if the peer that they're meeting with sees some behavior that might, lead them to believe that they're in danger, we would have a functionality in there where they could send like a push notification to allow, that person to receive extra help. We want to have those backup things worked into the system, and then also, make it known that this isn't a crisis hotline, and put the resources that are out there available to them.
Where would that push notification go?
So we talked about having almost like a sponsor or a sponsor for each person. So possibly their sponsor to reach out. We don't have it fully worked out what that might look like, but that was just one of the ideas that we talked about.
The scope of the tools to eventually teach them better and alternative ways to deal with the stress. So that's why the first MVP is the chat room, just so they start, instead of drinking and doing what they are doing, to start talking. And that's the first MVP.
And the other part of that would be to have monitors that were kind of prepped on looking for that sort of thing in the various rooms. Someone that would look out and say, hey, maybe you need to call this number, or maybe you need to do X.
So there will be some level of moderation being done, some expertise. It's not just a layperson, first responder layperson providing therapy or listening ear.
The interviews we conducted were with experienced people, and each of those people has shown growth personally over their 10 plus years of working in the field, that they've learned to cope better. And so those people would be joining for their reasons too, and they would likely be a peer mentor or managing a small group or moderating a chat room.
And a lot of those people have added the offering of help to other people is a way they've also helped themselves. So the interaction with people one-on-one is helping the others, at the same time helping a person with their own coping.
So pretty much the AA model?
In a sense, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any training for any of the folks before they would moderate?
So there are, and we interviewed peer support systems that are in place at Western Psych and the Pittsburgh Medical Examiner's Office. They do have peers that they train to then reach out to other peers, or the peers reach out to them. So we definitely want to have some level of training for some of these peers, but there's also people that we talk to, a benefit from peers who might not have that specific training and be looked at as a mentor. And one of the mentors that we talked to through this weekend, they identified it as empathy with a mentor versus sympathy with a peer. And we saw benefits based on our interviews with our user base that each of those would bring.
And one of our other interviewees referenced the idea of doing some sort of verification as part of our tool to verify that this is a real person doing this real job. And so we didn't have time to develop a screen around that, and the process for verification. But that was key to knowing that you were talking to a real peer rather than a counselor who doesn't have any relevant life experience in trauma and facing the work that they face.
And then also allowing them to be able to select, do I want somebody who's a trained mentor, or am I okay with a peer that may be untrained?
Great job, buddy system. Thank you, Kara and Stacy.
And thank you.
Okay, next we're going to go with Kovax, and I think Matt is going to kick off that presentation.
I'm sorry. Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Matt, and we are Kovax. Don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to start off right with that. I want you to remember 3 numbers: 48, 486, and 1 million. Might be a quiz at the end, okay? So why are we here? The reason why we're here is there's a crucial need for a better process in the local community and throughout the state of PA due to the systemic issues with the vaccine rollout. The current system in PA is broken. There isn't a structured system for scheduling and distributing vaccines, okay? This problem is going to become exponentially larger as more people become vaccine eligible and proactively search for vaccinations. So what are the issues? There's 2 critical issues with the current process. The state's website does not have a usable interface for scheduling vaccination appointment. You get to the site, schedule an appointment, you get to a map, takes you to red and green dots. Supposedly the green dots are distribution centers that have a vaccine. That's like 1 out of 20. You go to the hit the green dot, and you're all over the place. You get broken sites, you get broken links, you get put into queues to try and get into the site. You finally get into the site only to find out they have no appointments. Try again. So the second part is there's no queue to keep people appraised of their opportunity to obtain a vaccine. So even if you could schedule an appointment, there really is no system to determine like when you're available or to notify or anything like that. So, I mean, I don't know about you folks, but my parents, my mother-in-law, they haven't been able to get a vaccination. And basically what this has turned into, because of this bottleneck we're having, is that 52% distribution in the state of PA. That's 52% of our total vaccines have been distributed throughout the state. Whereas to our neighbors to the south, I won't say who they are, they're at 93% distribution, and 100% of the vaccines that have been allotted to them, they have assigned to a person. So our team has designed a one-stop shop for loved ones and others to streamline the process of obtaining a COVID-19 vaccine in Allegheny County. This is about saving lives, getting back to work. So I'm going to pass it to Ben for the solution.
Sure. Our team has designed a responsive website, which is live online right now at this URL, which allows people to register for a vaccine appointment when one becomes available at a vaccine distribution center that they're able to get to. They can indicate which centers they're able to get to. Now, instead of having to spend hours a day hunting through error messages, general clinic websites with buried possibly pages about creating an appointment and queues to even get onto websites and find out there are no appointments available, then giving up on vaccination altogether, as we've heard is happening for some people. You can just spend a few minutes entering information and get a notification when an appointment is available for you, which you have a certain amount of time to confirm and claim. It's a much better user experience and saves people a lot of time and stress. This weekend, we built a fully responsive front end that can be used on a computer or a smartphone, a backend keeping data in a PostgreSQL database with Java microservices, including an internal API with interactive documentation, email sending capability demonstrated in the confirmation email you get on sign up, and we have the front end and back end talking to each other. We've pulled in all the vaccine distribution centers currently enrolled in the state, along with their opening hours, contact information, and have the ability to search those sites by straight line distance from an entered address. We found CDC data about where the vaccines actually are, but didn't get that data pipeline built during the hackathon to be able to add some visualization on that. We have plans for a very simple Calendly-like interface where a distribution center can easily enter information about a new shipment of doses and the days or times they plan to distribute those, and have the task of filling those available doses with priority patients taken care of relatively automatically by this system, so the pharmacy staff can focus on the actual work of distribution. They'll spend less time with the naturally distributed denial of service attack that's coming in from so many people calling and trying to hit their website for information about vaccines. Sites like Heinz Field or a big parking lot have never had a scheduling system to begin with, and having a very easy solution is better than even some existing systems with very manual processes. And sites like Giant Eagle that became sites in order to get people into their stores would have that goal accomplished more easily. If someone doesn't have a computer, that's fine. They can either have somebody, a relative, a friend, take care of it for them and manage it for them, or they can obtain a paper form at a senior center, church, friends, neighbors, whatever, mail it in, and we can provide a center of volunteers or staffers to use the website for them, give them a call, or send them a letter if there's enough time in advance of an appointment. For deployment, this is something that could be rolled out and sites could sign up to use this for their scheduling one site at a time. If we are able to get some of the contacts that we have started developing with some of the senior folks in vaccine administration, that could be a helpful accelerator for this. And we also hope to improve the visualization with some of the data from the CDC. A site could also use a link for this in the existing state system to help with that transition. We plan to start in Allegheny County as a home location. Chester County has something that's a little similar, and certain networks of sites have these for just their locations. But we're going to start small and then hopefully expand out to PA and then possibly beyond, depending on how things go. This was our team. Very small team, but very good. Each person making very valuable contributions, and a whole bunch of great mentors organized through this weekend. And back to Matt.
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm gonna have to stop you here, but maybe we can get to this in the questions. That was a great, very timely presentation.
Perfect.
Send it to the judges.
Well, they need to
So I've been doing this all weekend, so this is pretty timely. I'm trying to get appointments for my parents right now, so please work this out. So help me understand, does this sit on top of the state's debacle of a system where you have to click on all those dots because there are so many providers who are doing their own thing? So is this kind of pulling them all up under the umbrella of what you're suggesting here?
Yes, and if the state wanted to, we could work with them and replace that existing system, which is really an embarrassing travesty, as some of our mentors have put it, just how unusable this system is, especially for the target population. But even if particular sites wanted to get on board, a few sites at a time, that's something that we could accommodate as a route towards making things better. It could integrate with that state system by having the sites list this site as their scheduling URL. A lot of sites don't even have a scheduling URL at all. Or it's 404, or it's an XML format.
Not matter then.
Next
I
question.
have a question. Yes, thank you. I agree that it's been a nightmare. it's like I live refreshing, getting families. And I just wanted to understand, how are you able to hold the slot, and what time window does one have? Like currently I'll get a call from Allegheny County. I drop everything, I run to the website, I get there, and the slots are filled. So I'd like to understand how you're able to hold that space and what that looks like.
Yeah, so assuming that there is enough advance notice, we would want to hold the appointment slot for 12 hours or possibly even 24 hours and give the person a notification and say you have to come confirm this appointment within that time window, else it will be offered to the next person. If there isn't that much time, if it's like we got a bunch of doses today, then notifications will go out to the people who are waiting and in the priority group and say, okay, first come, first serve. You can come to this website, sign up. Maybe by an hour later, when they get the website and come, they're all filled, but those slots are going to be filled and by people who are able to jump on it real quick for those last minute type of things.
Thank you.
And
This is amazing.
This is Eliada.
Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. By notification, how is that communication facilitated, especially for people who are submitting their form by paper? How are they notified? Is it by phone or?
Yeah, in that case, it would be by phone, or if we have something sufficiently far in advance and we don't have a phone number, we could even send a mail reply.
Okay.
Adriana, I think you had a question.
Yeah, thank you. This is amazing. Yeah, get it out there. What kinds of permits do you think you might need, and who can help you get those permits? And then what is the plan for adoption by providers?
So we spoke with some pharmacists during the weekend, and one nice thing about this type of thing is you don't need a lot of permits. We're also going to not be storing HIPAA data, or we'll need to check with some experts on that, but we are structuring the data carefully to only basically be holding contact information, and the HIPAA protected data is going to be between the person and their pharmacist. We would like contacts with people in the vaccine distribution chain, particularly in Pennsylvania and Allegheny County, and pharmacy chains like Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Giant Eagle type of places who are looking for something a little better, like Giant Eagle with the long queues, even just to get into the site and find out there aren't any appointments. We have some of those contacts developing, but more would accelerate it.
Okay, thank you, Kovax. Great presentation.
And 468 is the number of people who have died during COVID during this hackathon, died of COVID during this hackathon.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, next up, we have Media Bud, and that will be presented by AJ.
All right. Okay, so we are Media Bud. No bots, real people, low cost. So the problem that we are solving is primarily unemployment. There are currently 10.9 million Americans unemployed right now, as well as issues that small business owners are too busy and don't have time to twiddle their thumbs on social media. Also, if they were to outsource this, then the typical social media agencies just cost way too much and it's kind of overkill. And these services also don't offer smaller tasks. So to solve these issues, we made a web platform. We have two sides. One side are the gardeners, and we have like this whole analogy I'll explain later. But these are your average Joes, and they nurture the buds or the small businesses. And it gives those who are unemployed opportunity. They can start off with very simple tasks and then learn more and potentially take on larger tasks and more skilled tasks. This is also in the local neighborhood, so not somebody across the world. And these people will be labeled as independent contractors or 1099 workers. And then we have the small businesses, and they would come to our website and hire these gardeners to help them out. And you might be asking what these services are. And these could be any social task or social media task that needs to get done. The small business owner would set the price and the gardeners would bid on it, driving the cost down. Other tasks include adding photos to their Google business listing, which would be around $5. Video testimonials and reviews around $5. Tagging the business, also a low cost. Content creation, which would vary, and strategic follow for follows, which would be around $7 an hour. Our competitor services do not include most of these things, but for the things that they do include, it's usually more expensive, and it would be on a per month basis as well as some of the services. And these are pretty expensive. For a really good job, it would be around $2,000 a month. So for our MVP, this is like the front end of it, and this is the landing page. So we get it as a business owner. You don't have time to twiddle your thumbs on social media. We can take that load off your shoulders, and we have the call to action button. And then scroll down a little bit, and you have an option to become a gardener. So to explain the analogy, before a plant grows flowers, it has buds. And these buds can get thwarted by frost, or with the right care, they can bloom into a flower. Likewise, in social media, your business can bloom, but needs the right care. And these gardeners can be anybody and start off with basic tasks. Chef Andrew says that as a small business owner, this is everything I needed without having to pay a huge cost. And then we have the competition chart and the services offered, an FAQ, and the footer. And then more on the back side of things, which the developers made. This is what the gardeners would see. They would see their recent activity, job or tasks that they have fulfilled, and tasks that currently need to get done. And then on the left, you can see the search. This is where small business owners and the gardeners would find each other. This would handle like all the logistics of payments and things of that nature. On the right, you have what the business would see. Likewise, it also has the recent activity, the tasks that are being fulfilled and need to get done, and the offers from the gardeners. So the impact. We made 2 surveys. One was on the demand side of it, and we sent this to small businesses. These 4 small businesses are interested, and we also sent a survey out to the supply side, which is just normal people. And 70% of those people said that they would be interested in accepting compensation for these kinds of social tasks. So the market potential in PA, there's 63% of businesses in risk of closing. And in the USA, 7.5 businesses are in risk of closing. On the contractor side, in Pennsylvania, there are 300,000 people unemployed. And in the USA, there are 10.9 people unemployed. 10.9 million people unemployed. All right, and our team, I'm AJ. I was in charge of the ideation and management and design. Kobe was also in charge of ideation, and he did research and validation as well as outreach. And then we had our 3 developers. Grant was in full stack web development, and the other 2 were in, George and Anders were in design and in web development. Thank you very much. Thank you to the organizers for putting this together. It was a great experience, and now we are open for any questions.
Thank you, AJ and the Media Bud team. All right, judges, any questions?
Hi, this is Eliana. Thank you, Media Bud. Could you elaborate again on the auction component? I think, yeah, could you just elaborate on that component again? It seems as if that could be a unique way by which to make prices manageable, but I'm not sure if I missed how you explained it. Can you touch upon it?
Yeah, so I think you're asking about the offers and like the bidding process.
The bidding. Yes.
Yeah, so small businesses would list their tasks that need to get done. And there'd probably be more people looking to make money. So supply and demand. If you have more people supplying, then the cost would go down, if that makes sense.
So are the gardeners, and so small businesses would list the project or the task that they need done, and are the gardeners doing the bidding?
Yes.
For the job? Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else have any questions?
Any questions?
Okay. All right, we are going to go on to the next team.
Nice job.
We have Zero Waste City next, and Nathan will be presenting.
Good afternoon. Just give me a second to set up. We are Team Zero Waste City. Today, I would like to introduce you to our company 412 Crop to Compost. Simply put, food waste is being wasted. It is going to landfills when instead it could be diverted into valuable plant food in farms, parks, and gardens. Cities and municipalities recognize the problem and have developed an action plan, including Pittsburgh's own 2030 zero waste goal. The problem really is you have growing landfill emissions, increasingly contributing to climate change. Big agricultural farming is depleting nutrients in our soil. Perishable food delivery is time and area sensitive, ending in wasted food. Food composting in Pittsburgh itself is inaccessible to many. You've heard of farm to table, but we do that. But we also handle your leftovers. From food scraps to soil, we are 412 Crop to Compost. We provide bucket rentals that integrate with the CSA supply chain. We make it easier to recycle the food, all while reducing your carbon footprint, saving the public sector money, supporting your local CSA, and returning nutrients back into the soil. So within our model, we are using the CSA system we've integrated with to distribute food buckets to farmers markets. At those farmers markets, residents will pick up the branded buckets and be able to take those home and fill those buckets with compost, their food waste, and be able to then drop off the food waste at the farmers market the next time around, in which case then the CSA will transport the food waste to their own CSA, to their farms to be reused in the soil, provide nutrients, and continue the full cycle. The average cost per food share is $25 to $40 in the Pittsburgh region. Rental of our food bins, based on whether it's a 2-gallon or a 4-gallon size, is $18 to $25. We're looking at 5 months until profitability with a modest 10K investment and potential indirect savings of 25 pounds of solid waste out of the landfills, and over a year, an estimated 1 pound of carbon completely sequestered. As part of this process, we've looked at interest in this. We surveyed yesterday and got over 100 responses. 64.5% of the participants were willing to pay for a service to compost and recycle food waste. 75% are even willing to travel a mile or more to get to that point. 61% would even be willing to use the compost in their own businesses, their own homes. And that number doesn't even include the 15% currently composting. There are regional competitors in the area, and it's good that more people are starting to tackle this problem. We like to kind of follow some of their models, as well as we're adapting to what the needs of the market are. A team is a passionate group of people that really wants to make a positive impact on the environment. Lots of different backgrounds and skill sets, and we're working together to build this company to be even bigger over time and scalable. One of those scalability things is to reach out to the widest possible audience, which is going to require $10K of marketing spend, which is factored into our cost of buckets and such. The landing page creation to draw, lead form capture, some branding design. We've started on that a little bit already. New lead generation through social network management. Next door is going to be definitely something we target, as well as looking for traditional marketing campaigns, flyers at local markets, newspapers, etc. There's already people already paying to throw away their trash to landfills, and it costs the cities and municipalities money. Here's just like some examples of the cities. And one of the things, I mean, like it goes into the fuel costs, and that even adds more to the carbon footprint. The cost to the fees that you get to actually put your stuff anywhere in the limited space that we have. It's a dwindling resource. We have some projections. We're looking at per month, potentially being negative for, like I said, for the first four, but starting to get up to $82,000 by the end of the year if we have 72 customers cumulative a month. So we have potential partners, including 412, like Food Rescue, Grow Pittsburgh. There's so many people out there that might want to take part in this. We're looking for anybody that's willing to help. And I think since it's part of the city's goal, I think there's a support mechanism there as well to move in that direction through potential partnerships with the private and public sector. So we're looking forward to any opportunities there as well that may arise. I want to thank you for your time, and now I'm set for any questions you may have.
Great, thank you, Nathan. Giselle, I assume you might have a question since you're the co-founder of 412 Food Rescue.
I will. I'm still processing it, but I will. I'll let a couple people go first.
Okay.
So, question. I wasn't clear, and maybe I missed this. Do you envision people paying for the compost, or you I know that you envision people paying to get their food waste picked up, but do you envision the people who use it paying for it as well?
Sure, it's a valuable resource. It has so many nutrients in it. I compost myself when I can. It's just, if people have the yard space or the space in their business, I mean, even their business park area, depending on if it's an industrial park, some sort of thing, they could use it there, yeah.
So if people are going to pay to use it, do you need to charge people also to pick it up, or could that pay for it?
So I think those numbers are a bit smaller. From what I've seen, the cost of compost is although valuable, would not offset necessarily the cost of the current model we have in place.
Thank you.
That's what I was too trying to get my head wrapped around a little bit about the incentives for people wanting to pay to do the composting and to, if I understood correctly, carry it to a farmer's market or a CSA, collect it and carry it and pay for it. So could you speak to that a little bit?
To what aspect exactly?
I'm trying to understand the incentive other than just the doing good portion of composting versus sending to a landfill, and wondering if it seems like you did survey 100 people, or that seems like a lot to expect people to carry their composting and purchase the bucket to do it with.
Oh, so part of that would be the making it the ease of composting for people that especially live in apartments and those types of things. If they want to compost, but there's no place to actually put it, they can't just put it in their yard. So by taking it back to where they're actually going to be getting the food and the crops from the farmer's market itself, there's that collection system, and then supporting the farm. It actually, I mean, potentially could reduce the cost of the farm needing to spend money on compost, et cetera.
So I think I hear you saying that you already have a likely target audience. That to me, it just seems like a lot to carry a bucket of compost, but I hear what you're saying. Thank you.
I also may add something. So my name's Daniel Little. I'm part of the team as well. So the additional incentive for the people to drop the compost off at the market would be that they would get produce from the CSA in return for dropping off the compost. So they would get the compost, and the incentive would be they would get the bucket, the same bucket that was used to fill the bucket with food waste would then be reused, repurposed from the CSA and used to give the person food. So you're bringing the system full cycle.
Got it. That's what I was looking for, is a little bit more incentive.
Yeah, I think it's really smart, and I think it's going to help to normalize composting. I think composting feels very foreign to those who don't do it. I compost, so to me, I get it. I don't even need an incentive, but I totally get the incentive part of it. But I think you could easily find foundations who would want to fund this as an incentive to get it normalized. I think it's a great idea. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
It's a great idea. And I love how you all have thought about leveraging the existing systems so that you're not having to create a new marketing campaign and all of that kind of stuff. So it just makes the feasibility easier. And also there is a lot more interest in composting in a different generation than I might represent. So I think there is a feasibility here. Why might you not sell this idea to Ag Recycle? And why don't they do it, you think?
I think the more people that contribute to this private sector, the better. I hope that our model becomes kind of something that could be copied as well too. I think right now that we're serving a different vertical. We're looking. They actually tackle, I think, some of the restaurant waste and some of the heavier end levels, and they could support a lot. We're looking to also hit the same ability to source from local farms and reduce the agricultural soil reduction quality as well too, by providing marketing in terms of not only for ourselves, but it's really also going to benefit the CSAs because they will get more customers generated. And by doing that, then we're putting more money back into the local farms instead of the national distribution food network. So that will eventually reduce the weight of transportation and all the carbon footprint overall too.
Good. Is it, are you envisioning this as a nonprofit or a business? Have you thought about that? I mean, you've done a lot of work in 2 days.
So I think between our team, we are still figuring out what the best method is for that. We've been running numbers. Daniel's been tremendous in support of that. We've been getting a lot of different ideas and support from all our team on the communication of this idea and really reaching the most people. And really, I mean, this is about educating people and sitting through the mentor sessions that we sat through on this process. Carol and I and the rest of our team have learned so much, to the point where it's like, if we could see the same thing and mentor people about how to compost and spend that kind of time and say, hey, this is ways to do this. This is what you put in. This is what comes out. And this is why it will benefit everybody overall. That is, I think, all of our goals.
So if you want to talk to the CEO of Ag Recycle, she has a big social conscience, let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, Nathan. And thank you, Radna, for that offer. Okay, we're going to go to our 9th presentation by Municipal UTM Coalition, and that will be presented by Stephen.
Hello, how is everybody? Is the audio good? Yeah. Outstanding. All right, let's get the presentation going. So my name's Steve, and I'd like to talk about the Municipal UTM Coalition. Before I get started, a big thank you to everybody that's helped out this weekend. Kit, Ryan, you guys have been great. Here for every question we had. PTC, always a great crew of people over there. BNY Mellon, IQ, thank you all for bringing together the resources to make this happen. To have this conversation, I'm going to ask you to think a little bit down the road, a little bit in the future, and think a little bit in the abstract. What we're talking about here is sort of UAVs, unmanned vehicles, vehicles that are controlled by things other than humans. And I personally believe that the volume of these vehicles is going to grow exponentially as we move into the future. It's not just me that thinks that. I mean, Uber made a big IPO bet on it, and time will tell. Tesla is claiming that the autopilot functionality, if they get that working in their vehicles, the car will pay for itself. And Amazon, they're at 5 billion was the number I came up with. It varies on how much they could save if they could automate their last mile delivery and do it with some sort of UAV or drone. With that in mind, the space that these vehicles can operate in is finite. As far as streets and roadways for ground-based vehicles, that's pretty easy to conceptualize. And for the aerial-based, like UAVs, they have a 400-foot window between the ground and the ceiling of where they can operate in. That can fill up very quickly. And it's a problem that I think is coming at us, even though it's kind of hard to think about. Municipal government should have some sort of involvement in these discussions. At the end of the day, the municipal government's assets are what many of these vehicles are going to utilize, whether you think of that as their streets or you think of that as the airspace above their municipalities. Quote I found, ignoring your problems will not make them go away. People could bury their head in the sand, but these things will come and somebody will have to deal with them. Thankfully, the FAA has started to think about it. And they've done some work in developing an infrastructure revolving around this. They refer to this as UTM, or Unmanned Traffic Management. They've started to publish studies on it. They've started to engage with corporate partners. They've built out a whole infrastructure conceptually about how they believe this to work. And something core to that infrastructure is what's referred to as a USS. They've engaged with industry. They're working with Amazon. They're working with Waymo. They're working with all the big players to define what these USS organizations look like. But involvement from municipal government in the USS front is limited. And that's important. I can tell you, I work as a paramedic still, and I can think of a half dozen different ways that being involved and having a stake in this whole conversation and how this will work could affect me in a very real way when I'm doing my job. And I want to make sure that there's kind of equity in how those discussions move forward. They have started some of these partnerships. The City of San Diego is a notable one. North Carolina seems to be really involved. Actually, both of the Carolinas are building out sort of departments of autonomous vehicles to start to think about this. But it's limited in scope, and there isn't really a model, and it's still, for lack of a better phrase, blue waters. There's a lot of questions to be answered still. In addition to sort of forming this and forming that USS model, I think there's opportunity for engaging with the community, talking to the general public about what UAVs or drones are and what they do and what they can't do. Again, I always go back to the public safety stuff because that's kind of the world that I live in sometimes. And then get into sort of like some coordination between stakeholders. I mean, we sit in the middle of Robotics Row, I keep hearing it referred to as. We've got CMU and Pitt here, and the more autonomous vehicles that they develop and deploy and commercialize, the bigger the stakes are going to be. And I can't think of two better organizations to play a role in that. And also sort of a clearinghouse for different stakeholders who may not be directly related, but function as a way to get information to and from people. If you need to register one of these UAVs, if you need somebody to perform some kind of lookup service, or if somebody wanted to make a request for information and find out what drone was flying over their head, an organization has to exist to process that request, validate that person can get that information, and then interrogate the FAA and get the information back. In the spirit of a hackathon, we put together a Raspberry Pi, a single board computer. to do ADS-B monitoring or ADS-B monitoring. The way this is related, or why I think it's important, is in 2020, just in December actually, the FAA mandated that UAVs and drones in 2022 will be required to have location transmission technology built into them. And if they don't have that, they can't sell them, and you can't operate it as a hobbyist. We have a live demo going. If you go to municipalutm.org, the site is live, and there's a Raspberry Pi that's sitting in my window with an antenna on it, and you can view traffic on it, live air traffic that's flying around right now. Actually, I have no idea. I haven't looked at it. Maybe the snow's got everybody on the ground, but we'll leave it up for a couple of weeks, and if you feel like checking back in, go ahead. We have a timeline that really we would like to walk away with this and form some sort of nonprofit organization and continue this work. I don't have the answers. I don't think any one person has all the answers, but what I think is important is that people think about the answers and that the right players have a seat at the table and can participate in those conversations. This timeline kind of covers that, maybe looking for some grants and whatnot. But in July of 2021, my favorite thing as a hobbyist is we want to create a UAV identified zone, which is something that the FAA has said can exist and be funded by community, applied for by a community organization, and that can really give back to the hobby community in Pittsburgh. I have my team here, Beth and Zach. Thank you both. I showed up on Friday with a poorly formulated gaggle of ideas, and they helped me put them all into paper. So I couldn't have done this without you two, and thank you. And with that, we'll open it up to questions.
All right, thank you, Stephen. Great job. Any questions about UTM?
Sure, I would love to ask one. This is Eliana again. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much. So that I'm better understanding the Municipal UTM Coalition, like, are there any kind of central or pillar values or that would drive the coalition or that would inspire the coalition to facilitate conversation towards a particular end? Are you looking
for? I could talk about this for hours, and we're getting to the end of this. So I'm a hobbyist. I'm all about like right to repair. I'm all about making sure that information is available to people that want to hack and geek out. And I think this is, to me, having sort of municipalities or local level government having one group, one voice, one place to sort of exchange ideas and then interact with people like the FAA who are making those decisions. It's important for me for sort of that. I can't think of anywhere else where that voice is going to get represented. I don't think it's going to come from Amazon or DJI or the other corporate partners who are already engaging with the FAA. And I think it's got to be really a local level organization that can sort of speak for the little guy and speak for the small towns and those kind of people. And I can't think of a better place to start that than here.
Okay, so if I were to draw from what you're saying, that the coalition would be able to, its big goals would be ensuring transparency of the decision making, or at least of the policy making process, equitable access to information, and then relevance to locality. Is that kind of like the big push behind what you're doing?
I think that's a good summary. And I've never kind of pitched anything in the civic space before. So I'm fascinated by things like centers of excellence or building a coalition of people that can speak on behalf of others and sort of represent the interests of others who don't always get represented well. But this is my first foray into it. I mean, if I had an IP portfolio or we're pitching a medical device or something, I've done that. I've been moderately successful with it. But what appealed to me about engaging on the civic side was maybe looking for something that, maybe I don't need to have so much of a value prop, but have a good mission. And to me, that mission is advocating for the small guys and making sure that as this develops, like it's useful and able to be interacted with by everybody, not just the big corporate partners that are involved early and have a lot of money to spend.
Okay, that helps. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I appreciate it.
Okay, anyone else? All right, with that, we're going to go to the final presentation, project called Always, and Kelly will be presenting.
All right, good evening, everyone. Let me share my screen here and we'll go ahead and get started. Can you everyone see my screen okay? All right. I'll go ahead and jump in. Like I said, good evening, everyone. My name is Kelly, and I'm so excited to talk to you about Always, which the team and I dove into this past weekend, and really sunk our hearts into. I don't know if you're anything like me, but asking for help can be pretty darn hard. But then there comes that point where, you learn that asking for help isn't what makes you weak, but rather, what makes you strong. And if you're really lucky, you find someone on the other end to be like, oh, you're a mom in the pandemic that's struggling? Me too. This is what's worked for me, and let's get you the help that you need. And that's what Always is all about. Always is about bringing together those that need help with those that are able and willing to give it. What's scary about this slide is that some of these numbers are frightening, and about the world that we're living in and the impact that families are experiencing and challenges that they're dealing with in their everyday lives. The numbers are crippling and impacting in every neighborhood. With that, our idea was born. We kicked off the weekend and, thought of all the different ways that we could discover against this, collect some data to hone in on our idea, and really solidify a solution that is going to meet the need of our target market. I was fortunate enough to work alongside some really talented individuals, 2 UX designers, 4 engineers, to really make this come to life. The technology stack, I think, is really where the hustle came in this past weekend. When we get to our demo, you'll see not only do we have a really slick UI that was developed as a progressive web app, but also a really extensive and impressive backend API. The team used GitHub for some continuous integration and deployment, which allowed them to work seamlessly all alongside testing and developing our prototypes. As you'll see, we focused in on 2 key personas to bring us through, to bring the app together. We have the individual that's requesting help. They'll go ahead in and they'll create their request. And then on the other side, we're targeting groups and organizations that are already established, like faith-based organizations, Boy Scouts of America, for example, or other corporations that are looking to give back to their communities and may already be connected with those who are in need of help. And that's where Always comes in. This is a quick view to show some of the designs that went into this past weekend. And without further ado, I'll actually go ahead and I'll jump into our demo of how this all looks and feels. Because like I said, I think this is really where the magic happens. Although we did develop this as a progressive web app, we're showing it in a mobile view because that's where we'd hope to take this. Simply, you'd come into the sign-in screen, which will then launch you into our homepage. This view is showing Betty, and she's able here to see some of the completed work that's going on within her neighborhood, and also some of the outstanding requests of people that are looking for help. Down here, you see the option to go ahead and create a request. And simply, she's able to just add a few key components of what she's looking to get help on, this being a home repair. And through entering some of this information and where she's located so that we can connect her to helpers that are in her area. And if it's applicable, she can enter in a date so that of when she's looking to have this request done. Simply by posting request, that'll bring her back to the home screen. And you can see that my request is actually populated down here in the bottom, showing up at the top of the list. Another thing that we can do is if we click back into the request, what's also pretty slick is this gives the option for messaging. So if an organization would see this and be able to offer their help in these instances, they can comment back and forth and create a dialogue, get exchange some information on where this did take place and what exactly Betty is looking for. Once the work is actually complete, she can go ahead and mark that this request has been fulfilled. One thing that we think is really important, and maybe even a differentiating factor with our app, is the ability to express gratitude. She's able to send in a thank you note, to really pay it forward and give kudos to the people that reached out and helped her in her time of need. And additionally, one thing that we think is also, pretty slick with the app is the ability to react and cheer on your neighbors that are doing good in your community. So, for example, we see, that Billy was helping with another home repair. I can go ahead and cheer him on, and everything's functional within the app. So like I said, that's, beyond that, where we'd love to go is Betty, if she, wants to also offer her skills, she has the option down here to explore groups in her neighborhood that she can join and maybe partner up with to also give her time and to give back. Okay. Jumping back into our deck, but where do we go from here? One of the things that we think is really important, actually, let me go ahead and I'll launch this in presenter mode, is the ability to grow our helpers. We know that there's a lot of individuals that want to give back. Impressively enough, when we launched our survey, kicking off this effort, 70% of the respondents said that they really weren't even looking for an incentive, they just wanted to help. So we think that need is ever present, and something that there's a lot of people who want to help and want to be connected with where they can best meet the needs of their communities and serve their neighbors. We'd also love to partner up with other supply organizations that are doing really well. And maybe this will give them an opportunity to extend their reach beyond the market that they're serving right now. The ability to partner up with food banks and distribution groups to donate physical resources and give back to an even broader community.
Okay, Kelly, I'm sorry.
And
stop you here.
Sorry.
A little bit over, but thank you. That was an excellent presentation.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Give them a little more information.
Yeah, let me put it back here and I'll stop sharing.
Questions from our judges? Bobby?
Is this intended to, I'm curious about scale here in terms of, is this targeted for particular neighborhood? And I guess the second part of my question would be, how would you envision managing helpers? You said a little bit of something about doing background checks, but that's,
so we would
kind of a logistical concern.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the ways we would solve that logistical concern to start would be by using the established organizations within a community. So we would actually have those organizations already established, and to actually provide any resource of help, you would have to join one of these communities to actually be able to offer services. So we would run it through as you would set up an organization. They might select different types of categories that organization, such as a church or a business, is willing to offer. And then we would take that, and then those organizations could provide the help. Scaling wise, we would start small. We want to target a specific group to learn. So we're going to start small on whether it is moms helping, being helped by groups of moms from a certain company. We work for Dick's Sporting Goods. We have a mom squad, which is a great organization, but also just being able to scale it into other communities. So that's the locality aspect and the location aspect as well.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Eliana. Yes, it's kind of resonating with what Bobby asked, and also intrigued and, moved by this deep sense of community. It is, for clarity, does this particular innovation focus on the helpers as organizations? I know there's an opportunity for individuals to also participate, but is the big thrust here organizations providing help?
That's where we'd like to start. That's where we see, we knew if we started with just individuals helping other individuals, there's definitely a security component to that. With our research, we found that, having the established organizations be the helpers in these cases, to kind of, combat some of that, some of those security concerns. But yes, we see some of those organizations. We know that they want to give back to the communities. We know that they're poised and able to, and, maybe even things like churches, they have a community that they want to target and start with, which is a great place to start. Maybe they just don't have the technical backbone in order to facilitate that right now, but we think Always might be a great mechanism to get that started and to keep them connected with them, even though we're not physically together during this time.
It's also a way to incentivize those organizations and help them grow. I mean, we did some research and saw that organizations, especially volunteer organizations, is nationally declining. So this might be a way for other people to learn about other organizations and join.
Great, thank you both.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for always? All right, well, with that, we will be convening into the judges' room. I want to thank everybody, all the teams for the presentations. I think Kit will agree, it was amazing what we saw over the weekend. You know, from Friday night, from those 1-minute pitches to what you all presented tonight was just an incredible transformation.
It's pretty awesome. Thank you guys, that was awesome. And then while we're deliberating, the judges will go into a breakout room. Audrey will come to the stage. I know she has a few special guests.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Audrey. I run the Tech Council. I'm blown away just from hearing Friday night and to what we just listened to now. I mean, it just, every time we do these kinds of things, it just gets better and better. And the amount of passion around things that matter to each of us is just incredible. And like I had the luxury of being able to plug in one of the groups with the head of the Port Authority, I think each and every one of these teams has an opportunity to take this to the next level. So I'm really excited about that and very honored that all of you spent this weekend, and just amazing judges. Wait till you hear when they come back. These women are leading the charge at almost every dimension of our region. And I'm thrilled that they took the time on a Sunday afternoon personally to be committed to doing this kind of work that we find is absolutely essential in these times in particular. You know, 2020 wasn't good to many of us. We left a lot of people behind, and you can hear that the passion here is to make sure that we're doing good and that we're building, you know, the bridges, and we're crossing pathways so that we can create tomorrow. So I am really, really thrilled to be here this evening. And I would like to bring on two people right now, Andrea Stamford from BNY Mellon and Bernie Mongilio. I know they should be here, but I'd just like them to talk for just a few moments about the work that they do. And I really want to thank them as well as IQ Inc. for being sponsors so that we could do all this work on behalf of all this. And this is only the beginning. We hope that there's opportunities for all of us and the Tech Council to be helpful to each and every one of you who've built these ideas. So whether these ideas stick or not, and by the way, those are my dogs. This is their time of day where they're not quiet. So are Bernie and Andrea here? Can I bring them to the screen?
Hey, Audrey.
Hi, Bernie.
Hi, Audrey.
Where's Andrea? I can see, oh, there you are. Thank you both so much for being here. Really what I want is just a few minutes, and then we're gonna have another guest on. But let's just start. Andrea, you kicked off Friday night, very inspiring, talked a lot about innovation at BNY. CGI is a tremendous partner. They're gonna talk a little bit. What do you think? What'd you think so far, Andrea?
Blown away. Outstanding. All of the presenters, and I think Eliade even said it best. There was this theme of, strengthening communities, of course, was what this hackathon is grounded in, but that just cascaded through each presentation. And then just this fresh perspective on innovation is so powerful and is so compelling. From concepts of, how can we help people who are looking for opportunities and jobs? How can they partner with small businesses? I love that was what I think AJ had presented on, and Kelly's discussion about how can we she walked us through the demo of what it would look like to actually get this crowdsourced information. There were so many great ideas. All of these ideas were just really outstanding and refreshing to see. And to think that this was done this weekend.
I know.
That is just mind-blowing. So I think all of the participants, great presentations from all of the speakers, but just the power of collective ideation that was really just focused on throughout this entire week and was remarkable. So just a round of applause for all of you for committing yourselves to social good. Just truly outstanding.
thank you, Andrea, for believing in doing this work and being a sponsor and being such a champion for the work that you do and for BNY and for this community. So thank you so much.
Happy to be here.
No, it's great. Thank you. Let's go to Bernie. Bernie, thank you so much for your support, CGI. If you just want to tell everyone real quickly what CGI is, if they don't know, they probably should, but give them that and then tell us what you thought.
Sure. Thanks, Audrey. So, first of all, I want to thank you and the Tech Council for, making this happen and giving us the opportunity to sponsor. And Andrea, it's delightful to be a partner with you on this. So CGI, many people don't know who we are. So very quickly, we are a global IT services company headquartered in Montreal. But what makes us different is we operate on a proximity model. So we're really focused on the metros in which we operate. And Pittsburgh is a very important metro for us. We have about 500 people here working in Pittsburgh. And we're helping our customers, deal with the effects of the pandemic and drive a lot of innovation. And in fact, one of our national innovation centers is in downtown Pittsburgh. Of course, we're not in it right now because of the pandemic, but we'll be eager to get the doors reopened as the vaccine progresses and so forth. As far as, again, I'm a bit speechless. I think, Andrea, you did such a great job of summarizing this. The work that was done this weekend is just amazing. I've only, I was describing myself as a short timer in Pittsburgh. I've only been here 12 years. And, every time I spend, more time, I continue to find I get so much excited about Pittsburgh and the community. And I think sometimes we don't understand how wonderful we are. The level of caring, the level of innovation, the level of passion that we saw in terms of what the teams accomplished in those presentations. And that makes, one of the reasons I'm proud to call Pittsburgh my home and glad again. And Audrey, thank you for, including us in this. I said, Andrea, great to be a partner with you. And again, one of the things on our side is, we are in constant need of more talent. And I'd be delighted to have pretty much anybody that was involved with these teams come knocking on our door for an opportunity to work with us. As I said, it's been a great opportunity for us, and thank you.
We'll make sure that we'll share information so people want to get connected, and there might be projects that you might even want to support.
As an example, Audrey, like the Kovax thing. Using the example of Kovax, we've actually made an investment in a solution that's very similar. We were watching that, I was trying to think if there's an intersection there that maybe we can help accelerate some things. So that might be one at least one for follow-on conversation. A couple of others that I saw that, where there's innovation we're doing globally, where we might be able to make some connections to accelerate some things.
Yeah, and that would be just absolutely exciting. So we put your website up there, and we'll do the same thing for Andrea. So I don't know if you wanted to add anything, you two, but don't go away, stay put, because there's another guest that I want to bring up. And I'm going to ask Taylor, can you bring up our next guest? Let me see if he's here. Oh, there he is.
Hey, how are you?
I don't know if you know who this guy is, but I'll introduce you. This is Mayor Bill Peduto in a white beard now. Bill, I don't know. Is that what's happening? I'm not going to make any comments further.
Yeah, it's just to deflect attention away from bike lanes.
Bike lanes. Nice. We talked about bike lanes, I think, this weekend. So here we are. I don't know if you had a chance. I know that your schedule is crazy, but I don't know if you had a chance to hear any of these presentations, but they are sensational. They're sensational. And the judges that we have right now are deliberating, and they're going to select, but it doesn't mean that there aren't ideas here that we can't help cultivate. And
I got to listen to 4 of the pitches. So going back the number of years, I've been blessed to be friends with Kit when he was talking about this crazy idea of bringing together students and young professionals and to have almost like a Shark Tank type competition in which the best ideas sort of get presented, and we try to build from it in this urban laboratory of building out new industry. What's so beautiful about this year, though, and where I love where the focus has taken this over the years, is that now the hackathon is recognizing what 21st century urban economics looks like. Urban economics isn't about how you can provide an ROI to an investor. What investors want to be seeing as well is how will this make society better? How are we going to improve the conditions of the planet to lessen the effects of climate change? How are we going to empower people to be able to reach their full potential? How can we work to make a place like the city we call home unique and different and really enhance that type of opportunity for all, whether it's through mobility or through simple being able to access public space? And then how do we do it all in a way that does perform so that it is successful, so that people will invest and it will be a successful product? We call that P4 in Pittsburgh: people, planet, place, and performance. And it's a quadruple bottom line of understanding that. I think that's where the hackathon has now moved. It's moved into this new space of where innovation, technology, in addressing the issues that need to be addressed today, that can be measured, that aren't, opinion, that are based upon fact and data, can be more readily solved, at least getting better results by the adoption of technology. And what a wonderful thing to see take off in 48 hours, how all of that can come together and bring out real product. So first off, I got to thank the organizers, the people that have been doing this for years, the people that have been backing it, the sponsors that make sure that it's a priority and something where Pittsburgh is taking advantage of the talent that we have. And then finally, to everyone involved who gave up a weekend in order to be able to make this happen. We need more of this. This is the type of work, as the one group was presenting with the words of Mr. Rogers, look for the helpers. This is the way to be able to do that.
Well, it's so incredible because these people could be doing anything else. Now, I realize that it's COVID and I realize that it's winter, but we did this earlier in COVID in May, and Ryan Gent on our team and Kit Mueller said, no, let's try it virtually. We think we can pull it off. And just the focus on it, they didn't miss a beat. They didn't miss a beat.
I think with those organizers too, I mean, they've stayed dedicated to this throughout the years. And when they were talking about it at the first years, it wasn't really happening in other cities. It was something that may have started out in Silicon Valley, but it really hadn't caught on. They brought it to Pittsburgh and they made it happen. So a lot of thanks go to them.
We've actually made it our own now. So now we've made it our own, and it's just our Pittsburgh. This is a civic hackathon, and the commitment here is to civic engagement. And as you know, the people who are here, and most of us do our work because we want to flex our civic muscle, and we want to make sure that we can, create the engagement that's needed. So the next steps for many of these groups are to see how they can take some of their ideas and leverage them, either leverage them into a company, leverage them inside a company, maybe have different opportunities for themselves. So there's a myriad of ways that this can sort of take on a life of its own. And you should feel proud about that, just being here in Pittsburgh and seeing this happening right here.
It's a conversation happening around the world, but it's happening around the world in small pockets. It will be common, just like Adam Smith economics of the 19th century is the way that we still view, how many widgets you can make and what will you charge for them in order to be able to maximize profit. If we don't bake in the societal benefits into the equation at the beginning, while people are coming up with the algorithms in order to be able to create these different types of ideas, what we will be left with is what that type of economics called externalities, the pollution that will be produced. There's no cost to that. That's just an externality. The wages that will be paid to work, that's not a part of it. But if we include all of those into the economic formula, and like what you're doing this weekend, and being able not only to address the needs of society, but also how to make society better, we will come out with a new model. So you can't put it through that 19th century model and expect it to be able to address society. It has to include society into the very formula at the beginning.
Well, there are solutions here that we've heard. I mean, I can think of like 4 of them that there are people in your office that should be very interested, because I think it would make some of the things that you're trying to tackle much more efficient and effective. And that's the other piece that's really cool, is how do we use our relationships, whether it's Bank of New York Mellon, it's CGI, the city of Pittsburgh, the relationships that we have at the Tech Council, you know, through Ryan, through Kit Mueller. Those are all the pieces that are going to take us to the next level. The other thing is, every single one of these presentations tonight really is saying, you know, why do we do this? And those are really important questions as we build solutions. When we look at, rather than output, we're looking at the initial input. And you can hear during COVID, Mayor, that you can hear that people are looking for relationships, they're looking for diversity, they're looking for camaraderie, they're looking for authenticity, they're looking for diminishing their footprint so that they can be additive into their own society. The themes were penetrated through each and every one of these presentations.
No, without a doubt. And, you know, we have in the past several years built off of the momentum that you've built with the hackathon. And we welcome the presentations that have been made now through a formal process with our Department of Innovation and Performance to give it the first run of the road.
Yeah.
Be able to take it from idea to actual product. And every year we go through a similar project, and we have taken hackathon participants and actually have ended up hiring them and using their product.
Yeah.
I mean, I use it every week. I can't remember what week recycling week is, but I get my little easy app that gives me a text message and it says, hey, Bill, take out the blue bag, and soon to be the blue bin. But the fact is that those types of ideas that are coming out of the hackathon are landing within city government. We just have to have a bigger landing pad, making sure that it also has that opportunity like BNY Mellon does to get an early look at it, making sure our other tech partners have that same opportunity. The idea that we have with city government is, if you can dream it, we'll become your urban lab. We'll be your laboratory. We'll allow it to happen. It's a risk-taking idea of government, and government is risk averse. So we look for the risk takers to partner with us to be able to keep pushing the envelope. Audrey, you remember when you moved to Pittsburgh, there was a very old joke that was, when the end of the days come, the place you want to be is Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh's 10 years behind the times.
You used to say that.
People don't say that anymore.
No, but he's right. And I met him when we moved here. That's what people would say. And I used to say, this place is such a blessing. There's so many assets here. We have to lift ourselves. There's a dark cloud that we were carrying around then. Yeah. And we don't need to. I just tweeted the other day, listen, we are the worst braggers, and we need to brag. We own it. Just do it. It's nothing wrong with that. You know, the other day, Mayor, we had on one of your key leaders on sustainability on our show, Business as Usual. We had Grant Irwin on, and just incredible in terms of what he was able to pack in 30 minutes to talk about what all the initiatives were. Are you chuckling?
Yeah, you know, when Kevin Acklin was chief of staff, yeah, you know, and we basically got in there, and it was like we had to like rebuild city government. Literally, we ended up getting rid of everyone except the fire chief. Right. And so every week for the directors meetings, we'd sit there and we're talking about, okay, we don't have a computer in BBI, in the Bureau of Building Inspection. We can't get a computer because the building's not wired. You know, it's like, okay, we have to, and then Grant would come in and talk about, we need to create direct energy programs throughout the city that use renewable energy. and Kevin dubbed him the unicorn. So is we're just trying to figure out how to buy pencils.
Right.
It's talking about, but the beautiful thing is, go 7 years later, and we've got like 12 initiatives that are being looked at globally as the
Very,
model.
very impressive.
Won the national competition
Right.
for sustainability through the U.S. Conference of Mayors this year on meeting our 2030 goal of 100% renewable to run city government in 2020, 10 years ahead of time.
So yeah, he's amazing. And, you know, I'm so glad he's on your team. So one last thing really quick, and then we got to get back. Okay. And then
we got to find out who won.
One last thing. What is this Marshall Plan? Can you just talk about that? Because I think
elevator pitch is,
let me give you got 60 seconds. What's your 60-second pitch?
I can name that tune in 30 seconds, Audrey. So it is, how can we meet the Paris Climate Agreement numbers in the area that is going to be most devastated by the transfer from fossil fuels to renewable energies and green technology, while at the same time changing what has been proven that we will lose 100,000 jobs in the transfer and instead create 400,000 jobs for a net effect of 500,000. And we worked with the University of Pittsburgh, the Katz School of Business, the University of Amherst, University of Massachusetts Amherst, and Columbia University in developing an economic development strategy that meets the environmental goals.
Okay, he just gave his pitch. It's not part of the judging, but this is something that our mayor is working on. Yeah. And you did a good job. I'm glad you've really mastered that pitch down. Maybe you need to join our hackathon.
No. I'd be team leader, and my team would like all jump out of the boat. So I think I'll spend my weekend supporting the hackathon in every way I can, and supporting all the teams to be able to use city government to get their dreams and ideas off the ground.
That's too funny. That's great. So wait, so before we leave, what are you eating for dinner?
Bellino's Pizza. Have you ever had it?
No, I have not.
Nobody in Squirrel Hill has. It's all Minios, ALOs, Minios. Go to the Turks. The Turks created pizza. So it's a Turkish pizza place on Forbes Avenue, right by where, because it's where Spiegel's used to be, right next door to where.
Okay, I know that place.
And they have this thing called the Bellino pie, which is sort of every single thing that you can imagine thrown on a pizza. I don't even think they allow you to change one thing, but don't. Just order it, enjoy it, and know that there are other choices in the East End. Even though I love the Minio family and I love Aiello's Pizza, I go every now and then to Bellino's. I'll leave it with this. When we first really got into COVID, like June, and I'd have to ask myself, is it the weekend? I decided that every weekend I'll buy myself a pizza. And it's like my little treat during COVID of knowing that there is a difference and a weekend is special.
Well, okay, Bellino's Pizza, you heard it here. I thank you so much, Mayor, for joining us. I know that you're busy, really appreciate it. People are writing thanks, but I got to pass the baton. They're giving me the hook as well.
Okay, congratulations, whoever that winner is, and thank you to all who participated, and a big thank you to those that make this possible in the city of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Pizza time.
Thank you. Okay, I am going on mute and passing the baton to the judges, right?
Yes. Thanks, Audrey.
Right.
Thanks, Mayor Petito. Hey, first of all, we were remarking in the judges breakout room that how amazing it was that these were just twinkles in people's eyes on Friday afternoon as they got the gumption to get up there in front of a whole audience and pitch an idea, and then suffer the consequences of an audience vote, and then have the strength to stand up a team from the assembled group of like-minded people. By like-minded, I mean crazy, because they wanted to donate their time and efforts and experiences this weekend, and put together cogent presentations and tons of work underneath it for some of the most pressing needs in our community. So hats off to everybody. Please give yourselves a round of applause. That was awesome. amazing weekend, guys. I'm standing between you and the winners. So I do want to say thank you to all of our amazing mentors. I mean, the feedback was amazing. And it was kind of across the board on both our tech talent that was there for kind of our stand-in CTOs to people that made the connections and the context and the feedback just for an amazing weekend. So thank them very much. I know a bunch of you had remarked at how impactful they were, so can't thank them enough. We are really blessed to have an amazing dais of judges, and I'm going to let them offer a few words, just generally about kind of what their perspective was of this event and the teams that pitched. So, Aradhana, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Kit. Just amazing. You're right. The amount of hard work that these folks have put in. Oh my goodness, just in 2.5 days. Wonderful ideas. I was especially blown away by the ideas around, so many of them were around creating community and connecting needs with those who could help. So that thread, humanity is not dead, it's alive.
It's true.
So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you too. Giselle, would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, you guys were amazing. I mean, I was on the other side of something like this, similar, pitching for into food rescue many years ago. It's very nerve-wracking. You guys looked completely comfortable and natural. Hi. There's August, a future presenter. But we were so impressed with you guys. And, you know, I love Shark Tank, and it feels like a much better for the soul Shark Tank, where the needs really were to solve problems. So honored to be here, and thank you for including me.
Bobby, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Wow, this was a really impressive afternoon and evening. It's amazing to me that you were able to, build out an idea from a mission and market perspective, financial analysis, technical build outs, and demonstrations to us this evening, all in just, basically 2 days. So we were really, really impressed with all 10 of the teams. And I've very much enjoyed stepping out of my day role to hear about all of these innovative ideas that will benefit our community tremendously. So thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bobby. Eliana, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. You all were absolutely fantastic. And one cannot stop telling you how great you were and really acknowledging the effort that you've put forth in such a short amount of time. As a professor, I'm constantly working with students to encourage them to recognize that their innovative capability is there, it just needs to be awakened. And in sitting in incredible events like this, I get to see what happens when that innovative capability is awakened. The last thing I would say is that one cross-cutting theme that really kind of spoke to me, and Aradhana, I'm with you, humanity is not dead, is the deep appreciation for the human experience and how each team sought to use technology to make sure that the human person is seen, whether it is in their need, whether it is in how they move, whether it is in what they eat. And that is so deeply, deeply moving. So applause to you. Innovation is never finite. Keep on innovating. Thank you.
Awesome. Well said. Alana, would you like to say a few words?
Since I'm just standing between you and the answer, I'll just keep it short and say, I thought you did a great job, every team. And the thing that probably impressed me the most was the amount of sort of market research and market validation. It wasn't just ideas in a vacuum. You all made the effort to go out there and talk to actual customers and get feedback and adjust your ideas based on that.
That's awesome. Thank you. And once again, thanks to our amazing dais judges. Seriously, it's humbling to have you guys involved. And I know that the teams will be better for it. Hey, this is a competition, but I do want to remind everybody to A, stay connected like we have this weekend. B, we will do everything we can to make sure that these projects have a life beyond tomorrow. So stay with us. And And with that, I'll do a little drum roll. And the judges, if you'd like to announce.
Yeah, here we go. And first of all, thank you to everybody involved. To reiterate what Kit said and everybody, I mean, everyone was amazing. The presentations they put together in 36 hours, all I had to do was deal with Kit all weekend, which was challenging in itself, but it was a lot less than what they had to do. So we're gonna get started with the third place team, and that will be announced by Alana.
So the third place winner is Buddy System. And we were very, very impressed, not only with the solution, but also with the amount of research that you did, talking to the users, and solving a problem using what Eliada said and what I think Aradhana said, really using the community, building community to solve a problem. So congratulations to Buddy System.
Thank you so
It
much.
was great fun. We enjoyed working with everybody and the mentors were awesome.
Great. Congratulations to Buddy System for the third place finish. Now we're going to go to Eliada to announce the second place team.
So the second place winners are AdWriter. AdWriter, congratulations. We were really drawn in by your desire to make transportation more accessible and affordable as kind of your thrust into this innovative project, while at the same time promoting the small businesses that are the bedrock of our local economy. And so you were able to create this really creative platform that brings that helps to enhance these two markets using our beloved public transportation. So congratulations, really well done.
Thank you so much. I can't gesture to my team, but everybody, we all owe it to the group effort. So thank you.
Great job, AdWriter. Congratulations. And finally, the winner of the 2021 Pittsburgh Civic Hackathon will be announced by Bobby.
Well, I have the great honor of announcing this evening's winner, and the first place team is Kovax. Kovax, congratulations. We were really impressed with your ability to tackle something that will have a huge impact on the community, no doubt. When I heard you talking about you had this pipeline to CDC data to understand where the vaccine would be available and that you could pull it all up through the umbrella of your tool is really, really impressive. And one of the things that we had talked about is, this will have an immediate impact, but what about when we're through COVID? And we all want to be through COVID, but this is likely not the last pandemic or the last huge logistical problem that we're going to have to solve in our communities. And to be able to develop a tool like this that would have wider applications as we go forward and lift out of the pandemic, I think is really important. So great impact, teamwork, hustle, and design. So congratulations to the Kovax team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bobby. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. I had a team filled with supermen. And you wouldn't know them by day, but they're definitely supermen.
Wow.
Great job. Congratulations to Kovax. And again, I want to thank the judges. I mean, when we announced the panel of judges, the excitement we got from the registrants just shot through the roof. For all of you to give 2.5 hours on your Sunday, I am eternally grateful for your time. So thank you, Bobby, Aradhana, Alana, Giselle, and Eliada for your time.
Yeah, seriously, thank you. This has been an amazing weekend. It keeps getting better. Please stay connected. You can either, if you're interested in the Pittsburgh regional startup space, you can join pgh.rustbelt.org, or I highly encourage you to become members of the Pittsburgh Tech Council. Stay tuned through their regular media productions, including tomorrow's Business as Usual, for more updates on the ecosystem. And hats off to every project pitcher, team people, the dev talent that was here, the design talent, the business leadership. Thank you to our mentors. Thank you to our sponsors. And seriously, thank you to our judges. Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Night.
Good night, everyone.
Night. Thanks,
Everyone.
everyone.